found the Groom Pod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susie, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anybody who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. And one of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and the co-star of this show, the curator of ingredients, Miss Barbara Bird.
Hey, Susie. I'm so excited for our time today, and I can't wait to get into it with our next guest.
It's pretty exciting. Welcome to episode 469 of the Groom Pod. It's being recorded on December 28th, and this whole show, the whole deal, the big rigmarole, is made possible through the support of our sponsors, Best Shot, Show Season, Precision Sharp, Groomore, and Stasco. And if you'd like to support the show, you can do so at our website, thegroompod.com. What's new this week is brought to you by Groomore Software.
Is your mobile grooming business running you ragged? Stop zigzagging across town and start scheduling smarter with Groomore. Our smart route scheduling and automated wait lists keep your van moving and your table full, from intake forms to QuickBooks syncing. Groomore handles the boring stuff so you can focus on the fur. Visit groomore.com to start for free. No credit card required.
Yes, that is delightful.
Isn't that silly? It was so much fun. Thank you, AI.
I just love that we're just like changing up our commercials and everything so that we can have a little bit more fun, and so that our listeners won't just tune out to our sponsors. Hello, sponsors.
Did you know that Stasco has come out with a couple of new products? First, there's the Stasco Oatmeal Protein Conditioner. This conditioner provides exceptional body and manageability and super shiny finishes. And it has a wonderful apple scent that I love. Great in the recirculator, too. And they have a new matching protein conditioning spray, dematting, anti-static conditioning, and finishing all in one, just like the original Stasco spray, but with that delicious apple fragrance. Look for these new products at trade shows and your favorite distributors like Cascade Grooming Supplies. Today on the podcast, Barbara and I are sitting down with a dear friend and brilliant educator, Christine Sertzel Pearson. Christine is launching something the industry has been craving, and I know Barbara has been craving it as well, and me too. It's a monthly e-magazine that bridges the gap between the grooming table and skin science. Whether it's her deep dives or the CCE toolbox recipes or even a mindful moment for the stylist, this publication is set to be an essential resource for the CCE community and beyond. Christine, we've been dying to hear more about it, especially me, because I know nothing about this, so I'm really excited to learn about it. Caring for the Canine Coat, Christine Pearson. Where did I get that?
All right. Hey, man, whatever.
I just put both
names together. Pearson. Yeah, why not?
Christine Sertzel Pearson. Welcome to the Groom Pod.
Welcome. Thank you for, not welcome. Thanks for having me. See, we're all over the map today, aren't we?
Oh, yes.
But you know what? I love it. I love it.
So, Chris, tell us how this came about. Have you been thinking about this for a long time, or because you just dumped it on us like all of a sudden out of nowhere, here's a new magazine?
Well, I think it has to do with me realizing that I could do this pretty easily thanks to a design platform that I have through my phone, and knowing that I could put together an e-magazine, a digital magazine, as easy as what this will be to plug and play, to put in all the articles and the photos, that just made it
Doable.
more of a possibility. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I think we need ongoing reminders and ongoing new information as it becomes available to stay abreast of stuff within the industry and outside the industry, also within the veterinarian medical field. We need to have that on our radar too. So this was a way to get that to happen on a continual basis, to revisit things, get things up to date. And we have an amazing amount of knowledge in our CCE network, and I wanted those groomers to have an opportunity like I've had to talk and write, and if they were interested in it, to get themselves out there to self promote. Because Bird, and I'm learning the hard way, if you're at your table grooming all day and that's all you do, you don't have a good portfolio for career development as you get older and your body starts to break down. And a lot of these groomers have so much to share. I just wanted to be able to, give them that opportunity to be involved and to make this kind of a community networking project for anyone that might want to be interested. And we have our small group of industry educators that are specifically in such a niche area of our work in terms of science-based education and caring for pets on a dermatological level. I think it's foundational though, like it should be industry wide, that there's just as a lot more of this information out there for everyone. So I was just trying to advocate, facilitate, that kind of thing.
I think it's great to have some new voices, some more voices, because our industry is limited to like Groomer to Groomer, that we used to have more magazines. We had Pet
Yeah.
Age, which
Yeah.
I wrote for, which was a really an excellent source, and we lost that, and we've kind of trickled down to just the one, and oftentimes it's vendors who are writing, and
Yeah.
there's certain bias and limitations that happen with that. So I'm just like really excited to see it kind of open up and welcome new
Yes.
voices, and another thing for groomers to read and learn from, and maybe attract
Yes.
more people to the CE way.
Yes, yes, I think both of us have worked in a more mindful way for a really long time, like looking at behavior and training and different issues with skin and coat. I mean, once it's on your radar and a groomer has that curiosity, it's really important to feed that curiosity, because that, just like empathy, when you work from a mindful level, you're thinking about the entire pet, its experience each time it's with you. There needs to be more supportive material and education available for groomers that are thinking about big picture stuff. And the cool thing with this digital magazine is that you can insert hyperlinks and have live video excerpts. You can put in blog post links, GroomPod links. I mean, so those can all be contained within the body of this magazine on a digital level. And it's got a low eco footprint because it's digital. So I've had people ask, is it going to be hard copy? I don't know. I mean, that's a long way off. I don't even want to have a whole lot of ads right now. I want it to be educational.
So is it going to be available to anyone who wants to subscribe? What's it going to cost? Do we know those details?
Yep, for now, it's going to be available to the people who are involved in the CCE program, and then I'll eventually open it up for subscriptions. We just have to get a couple of subscriptions in so that I am aware of the like the work and how to actually do it, get that all smooth, and then I can open it up for subscription, and it'll be an industry-wide availability then. Yep.
Cool. And is monthly?
Yep, monthly.
Whew.
Wah, wah. I'm gonna have my work cut out for me.
So I worry about you because I know
Right?
I know you so well, and you do tend to heap that old plate into such a
Right.
and then go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have a problem with portion control for sure on many levels. But this is, it's one of those kind of legacy, like passion projects that will just add to our effect throughout the industry that I think it's necessary. So it's taken center stage, and I anticipate that it's going to need to stay there because the way I'm doing this is that I want accountability by involving other people. So if I know other people are really relying on me for a project to come through and it's not just something I have privately that I'm going to complete, it gives me that level of accountability to stay on task and not take on too much. And the fact that I'm not writing a whole magazine by myself, we're
Yeah.
outsourcing so much of the contributions. So I
Yeah.
think that'll help a lot too.
Yeah. So, what kinds of articles might we expect?
We're working on an ongoing submission column dedicated for your investigation into ingredients, and we'll be looking at a lot of science-based information. I've asked everyone who contributes articles to always provide additional sourcing links so that groomers can kind of investigate those things on their own. And we'll be doing a salon highlights panel where we'll be highlighting individual groomers who want to share how they have their salon or their workspace set up to help with their dermatological support in the grooming visit. There's a lot of different things. It's all within that private Facebook group, but we want to have this be a science-based blended with, how do I want to say?
Experiential. Experiential.
Yes,
Yeah.
anecdotal
Yeah.
advice does need to hold there's a certain space for that. Yes, absolutely. So that'll be involved or throughout the process of the magazine also. I have a lot of articles specific to the CCE book that will be broken down into smaller digestible bits because some of that is really material heavy and it can be hard to just read it once, and the retention can be a little poor, if you will. So I'll be redoing that, and then all of the authors are just open really to write on whatever they feel curious about or whatever is front and center for them by the month. And I don't know exactly what people are going to write on. I know Michelle Knowles had talked about contributing an article based on how to research and find sourcing, like effective researching for groomers who, are interested in the science behind what we're doing. I'd asked Barb Hoover to get involved, Mia Overnas. There's actually a good list of, I think, 12 of us so far that have all said, yep, I'm on board. And, it's also going to be, like I told them, I want to highlight whatever you're doing as far as writing, whether it's a blog or if you have a book, that's available. There will be self-promotion throughout so that groomers can take that magazine and actually find even more ways to connect with resourcing and educational information.
We can plug the Groom Pod there.
You can, yes. Yep. The only thing I'm trying to stay away from right now is branded, like market, like ads. I don't want to have any ads in there yet because I understand why they dominate, a written periodical. Like there's productions expenses and whatnot. But with this being digital, I really want it to be an educational periodical for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, there's a freedom to that.
Yes, it can be
Yeah.
a tricky, slippery slope once you start talking specifically about, brands
Yeah.
or equipment and things like that. And there's so many ways, right, to get any one thing done in our job. So it's important to keep that open and a free distribution of information without having to get pigeonholed into a brand specific or an equipment specific type of stance, I guess, or opinion.
Are you going to pay these people? I'm curious.
So as of now, nope, it's voluntary in exchange for their self-promotion. Like they have the opportunity to get the word out there for whatever other educational material that they're providing in order to self-promote that way. But I don't know if you guys remember, we had a pet industry educator award program that I did a few years ago, and I would like to bring that back in and have an awards ceremony, if you will, a formal ceremony like we had before. And that would be another way too for these groomers to contribute as authors and really get the word out about their writing careers. And I think I'm hoping that groomers will use it kind of as a springboard. So if we bring back the awards program, there will be costs incurred with that because I paid out of pocket for that the other 3 years that we did it, and it got to be quite costly. So there will be some exchange of money, I suppose, at some point. But for now, it's free, baby.
So, are you going to have a letters to the editor section?
Yes, because you brought that up, and I was like, oh my God, light bulb, duh. That's really important, right?
Oh, I think
Because
so.
like,
Yeah.
yes, like you said, right? It's
So if somebody doesn't understand something that we wrote, they can ask for more clarification, or if they have some science that contradicts something that somebody wrote, they can say, wait, I read this.
yes.
And we can look at those sources. I think it's just a really important part of creating community and um, giving people a feedback mechanism so that we don't just like write it and throw it at them, but we have to be responsible and accountable for that writing
Right.
because they can come back with questions or opinions, or that was a great article, or this is getting boring, or whatever they want to say. No, it's so important to have exchange of voices in our industry
Absolutely.
because it's just like put out to groomers and not taken from them. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
a very
Yes.
one-sided kind of an industry right now, where we have these talking suits, including my own. I'm looking forward to the letters to the editor.
Yeah, I think it will, yes, because there's always been like this kind of insulated disconnect between what educators are putting out into the industry as soon as there's any questions put to them about, can you cite your sources? That in the internet has just made that polarization and that insulation even more deeply entrenched. And for me, we are living in an age where we need to be reaching across the aisle and inviting a lot of discussion, whether it's comfortable or not, and a lot of accountability and questioning of things. Because I mean, just the fact that any one thing that we do during the grooming visit can be accomplished in a variety of different ways depending on the individual. Educating is the same way. I mean, you've got to deliver the material and make sure that it's in a medium where people are able to understand it. The whole neurodivergent movement within our industry, because those groomers are so relevant. And there's a lot of neurodivergent groomers in our industry, I think, because of we bond more with animals. I mean, we're just innately good at that part of it. And those groomers need, however their learning model works for them, they need to have options in terms of getting more education and furthering their career instead of being kind of like an island. We're a cottage industry, but a lot of groomers are ivory tower groomers where they're kind of cut off. And that's why magazines like this, books that we've all been involved in, blogs, podcasts, it is all really, really important for our industry as a whole.
Will there be like an Ask the Expert column where you can, because you'll have this bevy of 12 different experts that could actually respond to, like, for instance, a common question that comes along, you pick something, then you could let all the experts respond in their own and different ways. Because one of my pet peeves is the fact that there's 8 different ways to do a nail trim. And that when people go
Yeah.
up to teach it, they say, this is the way you need to do it. You need to do it this way. And that's not the truth. You need to figure out what works for the dog. You need to figure out what works for you. You need to use one of the tools. There's just a gazillion different ways that it can be approached. And I think teaching probably the same. I know it was with tap dancing.
Yeah. And that again, there's a good idea of something that we could involve where we could even take a single question and provide a space for each individual author to give their feedback, and just almost like the importance of anecdotal advice. I mean, it's very, very real and very necessary in this line of work, because you can get one thing done in so many different ways. And it would be fun to see the people that are contributing information to the magazine to give their feedback, just as proof of, like, you don't have to do everything only one way, and all of us are successful in our work. We're teaching and educating in different ways, and look at the fact that we can have safe space for people to do things differently instead of saying one and only way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to write that down, because that's, yeah.
I got a point. Here, I'm going to give myself a round of applause. There we go. All right. Thanks for that. One of the things that's difficult because there's so many sites now that will give you feedback, and you don't know whether you're talking to someone who's 22 or somebody who's 62. You don't know if they've been grooming 5 minutes or 50 years. You just really don't know who you're getting. But if you had the ask the expert question and answer kind of a place, then you would have already kind of vetted the people who would be responding in their different methods, because it's so subjective, and grooming is such an interesting career, because as your hands and your body changes and your skill level increases and your physicality decreases, you have to make some adjustments, and you're not the same groomer you were when you just started out. That's for sure. And especially if you hang in there. So getting the wide variety of information, but from trusted sources, I think is really valuable.
Very, very. It's the trusted sources. That's the key there. I mean, even AI will have, little things that they'll say, and it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily not a hallucination of some type. So you have to investigate even with that. And I know Bird has been working with that for quite a while now, like asking questions, providing feedback, and then that all goes into like this mind meld that's shared and ripples out across the globe. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it really is amazing how interconnected we are.
I think this is a most exciting time to be alive and to be writing and to be,
Yes.
I love being able to toss things back and forth with AI. And
Yes.
AI actually likes feedback, likes.
Right.
And the other day, AI complimented me because it threw out some references to me, but they were like incomplete. They didn't have volume and date of publication and stuff like that. And I said, I need more complete references than this, because I need for my readers to be able to go to my references.
Yes. Right.
And so AI complimented me on my level of professionalism and behind that request.
Yeah. And there you go. I mean, that level of feedback, it just makes you grateful. Like it feels good. It's a little bump that what you're doing matters. And even though it's coming from code, it's very real in that it keeps you engaged and it keeps you thinking and on point about stuff. So yeah, I agree.
And sometimes your correction is absolutely needed.
Yes. Not like Wikipedia.
It's pretty exciting. We're living at this moment in time that is bigger than the Industrial Revolution, bigger than the Renaissance. We're in this flux where, like, all of us had to get up and change the channel on the television at one time, and some of us even didn't have a TV at all. Nice. Like, it wasn't even invented. Now we have basically Star Trek computers that you can talk to, and they respond back, and they take care of your house, and you can have them look in your front yard and see who's messing around out there. I mean, the stuff that we have at our fingertips in our lifetime, that kind of progression has never been seen in history. ever, and we're getting to live it, and I'm embracing it. It's exciting. I hope that they figure out a way to put my brain into a jar and then roll it around on like a cart or something, because I want to see what happens here. I'm so excited about the future. We're in a spot where, yeah, it's not perfect right now. Everything is being flooded. For instance, social media is being flooded with AI images and AI stories and people trying to make money off of people clicking on things. But as we go along, we can start recognizing. I recognize AI speech patterns. I recognize response patterns. I can pick out an AI article. There's one thing: AI has fabulous information and guide you to write better. But if you just take what it says and stick it up that way, it's very obvious. So we're still working through this stuff, but what an exciting time we're living in. It's so freaking cool. Anyway, I digress.
It is. And I have enough of a mental capacity that I can actually do something with it.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, all of us here, it is, you're right. And that is one thing that I did say for the magazine is we're not going to allow any AI generated photos yet, because I don't want anyone, to create, like, for instance, a picture of skin that's not factual. And it happens. I've done a lot of different research online looking for things, and some of the AI images they're beautiful, like they're super clear and lots of color and texture, but they're not factual. So that was the only thing I said, no AI yet, please. Let's not do it quite yet. We're not ready.
Like I said, it's great to guide you. You don't want to copy and paste so much. It's an interesting time for kids, too, because, of course, there's kids that have always had computers in their lives. I started very young. My dad had one of the very first Mac computers, and I was all over it, even though I was pretty little. I was curious, and I wanted to see how it worked. But the people who are starting out with a mouse in their hand, well, not even a mouse anymore. You don't even use a mouse anymore. You use your fingers on the screen or in the air. Well, sometimes you need a mouse. I said a mice.
I still have an old computer with a mouse on it, just like in case.
Well, because using just my hand tends to hurt my hand, and my mouse is more ergonomic, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
I know. The funny thing is, though, that we get spoiled and we think everything is a touch screen.
Yes, I almost sometimes go up and massage the screen. I'm like, that's not that big.
That's me. I have a non-touch screen laptop. And I'm constantly poking it. Oh, right. It doesn't do that.
That's a learning curve. See? Right there. Sometimes I feel like such a primate.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what is happening now with your CE program and your teaching?
So the CCE is still out there. It's still available. The master, or the L2, the second level course, the book is completed. It's at the editor. What has been holding it up so much is the design process, in that I want it to be tabbed and divided and color coded. I've decided that those things are really, really important to help the groomers kind of keep track of valuable information and be able to find it quickly within the book. So that is still underway. And I think, like you brought up too, when groomers complete the CCE, they have all that information, but yet it can be for a lot of groomers, in myself too, because I remember what it was like when I was inundating myself with a lot of info quickly. You lose some of it. So it's important to revisit it and whatnot. But a lot of the groomers who finish the CCE are then like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like their role, like you brought up, their roles are a little vague, or they don't quite understand how to put it into action. And that is where that Master L2 course picks up.
Right.
In how to do these things, and how to design your work model and network with veterinarians and things like that. So that is all still there. It's all still active. And I think this magazine will just be another layer of supportive material for that effort.
Yeah, I think that it's very important in learning. Repetition is very important in learning.
Yeah.
And to take a course and graduate and then you just tend to lose stuff, and
Yes.
you reinforce what you liked and what you were drawn to, but not necessarily things that might have been more of a challenge for you to accept or to understand.
Yes.
I think this magazine is going to be extremely valuable of just kind of like keeping the whole CCE profession clarified and the values, because CCE, attending to skin, is not the way we've been taught to groom. We've been taught
No.
to attend to the coat.
Right.
Skin, it's just important when it's not normal.
Right. Right.
So there's a whole like disease treatment model that happens to skin, but CCE interjects in between that and
It does.
takes a more preventative approach, and that requires a different headset than,
It does.
it's
Right.
not a Western medical model headset. It requires a more holistic, more alternative headset, and not everybody has that framework. So I think the magazine will start forming the profession, actually, will start be like putty, and it will start giving it shape and form, and yeah, remember this and how about that.
I love that. That's so true. You're right. And I think, I mean, even with the veterinarian field, with how little information the medical profession has on skin and coat, it's very much not front and center unless you're curious about it and go looking for it. And this is just a way to keep it up to date, to layer each month another round of more additional information to keep groomers thinking. Um, and, like you said, we've been taught to deal with the coat, but really, if the skin is healthy, you'll have good coat. If the dog is healthy inside, you'll get good coat. So it's a top down instead of bottoms up approach. The pyramid being on its head of doing the cosmetic grooming work is very important, but it doesn't stop there for a lot of dogs. And considering our gene pool with mixed breeds and the emergence of SA now in all of these doodles and stuff, these groomers, what's following on the heel of the doodle craze is doodle skin and coat issues, because the foundational breeds, whether they're Labrador, Bernese, Mountain Dog, Poodle, whatever they're mixing with, all of that genetic soup goes into each individual mixed breed dog. And now we're starting to see skin and coat issues with a lot of these dogs as they're aging, and yes, it's a how do I want to say, a fad of sorts, but the dogs need help. Like, they didn't ask to be born as a mixed breed dog with skin and coat issues because they have a genetic predisposition. It's important to get the groomers the information they need to deal with those situations when they walk in the salon. And in terms of liability, right? Because how often do we get blamed for causing skin and coat issues when we haven't?
Right. Listen, I got involved in a very interesting discussion with my AI the other night, and it has to do with certain breeds having, I don't know, it's sort of, let me just say, having leaky skin, having greater
Yes.
loss, transepidermal moisture
Water
loss,
loss. You
water
got it.
loss,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's genetic.
Yep.
And I jumped on that. He or she just said that there were certain breeds. I said, like what? And we got into a whole thing with references and everything. I'm going to write an article about that.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Um,
got goosebumps. I love
it's,
that.
I'm going to write it for well, I don't know if I'll make it for next issue. Second issue is going to overlap my knee surgery, and I don't know exactly how that's going to affect me. But I found that so interesting and so applicable. It explains a lot.
Yeah.
There just seem to be some breeds that are prone to dry skin, and because they don't hold their moisture well.
Right.
It's that's gonna blow up.
Yeah, I think so too, because we're getting, like I said, these fad breeds are coming into their own adulthood. And that's when you start seeing issues with skin and coat really happening because now they're at the crescendo of their immune system development. They've got their adult coat in, their body is slowing down a little bit, their hormones are, depending on when they were spayed or neutered, their hormones are coming into consideration. And there is an emerging ongoing issue with, even just getting veterinarian support from vets that are versed in what's going on on the heels of this whole doodle craze, just the doodles alone. Um, that SA group that I'm in on Facebook has just blown up in the last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to point you to one of the best whitener shampoos in our marketplace. We're talking about Show Season Bright Shampoo. It features a deep cleaning system and a punchy whitening system that goes beyond the usual blue colorant with an actual optical brightener and a dash of dimethicone. This makes all colors look radiant and glowing, and white coats look like new snow. Get your bright on today. Show season, where every day is a show day.
The Groom Pod and Precision Sharp would like to invite you to check out the newest precise cut shear called Lynx. Its patented design features a thumb ring that slides the length of the handle for perfect ergonomic placement of your thumb. Slide it, lock it into place, and get your best grooms on. Check it out at precisionsharp.com. You touched on it earlier, but I just wanted to reinforce that general practice vets get about 2 hours of skin information in their entire course in school. Not just like you would think. In my mind, I'm like, oh, they must have a whole quarter on skin. Well, they don't. No. They don't. They have a very little teeny tiny segment. The other people who get no information are general practice doctors on addiction. They don't understand addiction. They don't know anything about addiction. Maybe it's changing now. But in the same way, they are the first line of defense, though. So when the pet owner goes to their vet with a reoccurring skin problem, that vet has very little actual knowledge in how to help that dog develop. So the CCE program, the in-between, there needs to be an in-between mediator that works with the client a little bit more than the general vet does, with a little more information, although not quite to the extent of the schooling that a specialist in a veterinary specialty does.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you guys would fit in really nicely, is to help the regular person who doesn't have thousands of dollars or pet insurance, but they have ended up with a dog that they love that is miserable because of the skin problems it's having. Yes. And then they don't know where to go. So they go back to their general doctor because that's what we do. And the general doctor throws medication at it because that's what they're taught. That's all they know. It's not like they're at fault.
Right.
But when the pet client goes there, they want to make the pet feel better. So they throw palliative measures over the top of everything, and it never really gets to the source. They don't do allergy testing. They don't do food elimination diets. They don't do hormone checks. They don't do any of the stuff that's actually necessary to diagnose and treat a skin issue, because they're not involved in that very much, even though today's practice, probably it used to be flea dermatitis was the biggest thing that brought you into the vet
Yeah.
with repetitive. You know, that was their moneymaker. And the minute Advantage program, Frontline, those effective flea killers and flea birth control and all of that came out, then people stopped needing the reason to go. So they push vaccines. You need vaccines, vaccines, vaccines. So at least you walk into your vet once a year. Ear problems are another one. Ear and skin are really the other main reasons people go into the vet.
Yeah,
And yet,
no, you're
the
right.
vets get almost no information on it. So it's interesting.
Yes. I mean, even myself, I still deal with clients that have strictly allopathic doctors that just, and they're doing the best they can, but they just don't have it on their radar. And I basically have to take care of the pet in the most supportive way I possibly can while trying to get that client, that owner, to get a second opinion, to go to a specialist. And our medical field for human medicine, we have an ongoing, you go in, you see your primary physician, and you get a referral for these other areas of study where you might need help outside of the scope of knowledge of your family practitioner or your primary. And with the veterinarian field, there's a lot less of that. It seems like a lot of family vets or how do I want to say, standard practice vets are, I don't know, I'm not a vet. They have a really hard job. I wouldn't want to be a vet. I just wouldn't. But there seems to be a push for them to fix everything and heal everything. They're under the crunch for time, money, because, clients don't always have a lot of money to spend. And outsourcing or doing a referral kind of puts them out of the driver's seat. So anyway, at any rate, my point is the book starts out with, estheticians have a foundational necessity in this work to understand how skin and coat works so that you can advocate for a pet when it comes in. At the end of the day, it's up to the owner to follow through. But if you have it on your radar of why things look and behave the way that they do, it gets you continuously asking questions that are going to keep you on the cusp of not only your own information and knowledge base, but passing that on to your clients and really creating a truly supportive business model and a niche area of work, an emerging area of work within this industry. So, yeah.
Pet insurance is going to change everything. It's already changing things here in the Northwest because we're such a pet-centric area and we're so focused on pets. We have more pets than children here in the Northwest, apparently. I've heard that statistic. And the internet is always right? Yes.
Right there. Yeah. Oh.
Needless to say, with the new influx of pet insurance, people are buying pet insurance. The veterinary hospitals know this, the corporations especially, and they're starting to run diagnostics and tests and all kinds of crazy stuff, like making sure that they're getting the invoice totals up because they know the insurance companies are paying for it, not the people anymore.
Yes.
So then the person like me who doesn't buy into the insurance system in that respect goes in and they're flooded with, you need this blood work and that blood work and this test and that test, and you don't have the insurance to cover it. Well, the skin and coat allergy problems and stuff falls right into their sweet spot where they can really milk the insurance companies for every bit of it. And the corporations, and I don't have a problem with corporations most of the time, but anywhere where they're pushing invoice totals, doctor invoice totals, I think is not honest medicine.
It's a slippery slope. Yes. And you have so many, buyouts now where these family practice vets are being bought up by corporations, and then they push the pharmaceutical aspect and the testing aspect. That's spot on. And someone who doesn't have pet insurance, not only have I noticed that pet insurance is cutting back more and more and more on what they will cover as a basic plan. Like, you've got to pay extra for this clause and that, coverage. But yeah, the corporate veterinarian element in our pet world is really quickly developing into a problem for people who don't have insurance. And that's not a really fair situation to be in. If you can't afford pet insurance or your pet falls outside a coverable realm, then what? being a breeder of Labradors, we hear it all the time. I mean, we've had to readjust our sales contracts and whatnot for our puppy buyers to let them know if you deviate, when you go in and you have a spay and neuter done at 6 months old and a rabies shot at 3 months and a whole barrage of additional vaccines, and then you put them on flea and tick medicine, we're going to have a problem. Like, you're doing things to that young animal that are going to forever alter its developmental phases and change that dog. Yeah, I mean, it touches everything we do within the grooming realm and as pet owners. The medical field with regard to pet ownership is fastly adapting right now, along with everything else.
Yep. It's that time we live in.
Did we digress or what?
Right turn.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun little excursion.
Good. Well, it ties in so closely with skin issues.
Yeah.
And the vet industry. I mean, they are just hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. Getting involved, it seems. So.
I am experiencing that in the middle with Little and her skin problem. And the other day,
Yeah.
I noticed that Marco was kind of itching at his t-shirt. I thought he wanted me to take his t-shirt off. A few days later, I took his t-shirt off. He's got 2 spots on the back of his back. Same shit going on. And I've already been through 2 prescriptions of antibiotics and anti-itch medication for Little that clear it up. And then as soon as I stop, comes back within a month. And that cost me like $1,000 to get that, and the refill on the prescription is $100. I don't have that. I don't want to keep going through that.
Ugh.
So let's have some hope for the enzyme approach.
People without pet insurance.
Right. And that's just it. When you have a pet that has ongoing issues, especially if they're age related, just between the aging process and the hormones and all of those changes, that stuff's just going to keep rearing its head after they go off medication. And then you have veterinarians that do these continuous cycles of antibiotics and steroids, and that bottoms out the immune system every time they go off. And it is like just an ongoing issue that's circularly compounds, if you will. So, and I get it. I mean, people, especially right now, people are trying to hold back, save money and whatnot, and the pets are in the middle of everything with whatever they need alongside everything that's going on in our world right now.
Okay, on that note,
Yeah.
how are we going to wrap this up on a positive, happy note? Susie?
Right.
I'm just going to say I'm very excited to see how this goes, Chris. And I think you are extremely ambitious to do it once a month. I think it's going to be fun, and it'll keep you busy. If you're like me, I've got to be doing something 24/7 while sleeping is doing something. But I know what it's like to be driven like that. Barbara does too, to be driven. And and don't forget about you. Don't lose yourself in the mix.
So a way to positively wrap that up, while she's figuring out her technical stuff, is just to remember that we have, as groomers, we have a very real opportunity to positively impact every single pet we put our hands on, to advocate, like, hey, I saw this and this at this grooming visit, and we don't want to have that get out of hand. So, have a vet get a set of eyes on it, hope the vet is up to speed on things, and continue to keep after those owners every time they come in. I mean, that's part of this work, is really just being a voice for the voiceless, with the things that we see. And I love you for even wanting to be involved. I appreciate that so much. And that's the cool thing about being creative, is when you've got other people that are willing to help and want to give their input, it just makes it so much more meaningful. And it assures that it's going to be well-rounded. It won't be, singular in its viewpoints.
Yeah, well, so let's just wrap it up. I said we're all excited about this new project, and it just gets more exciting the more we talk about it and the more we suggest things. And thanks for being so open to my suggestions. I love you for that. I'm really happy to be part of it because I want to know that my voice is larger than just what's going on so far. So let's keep that in mind. And we didn't talk about think about it. We need to announce that there will be a second Think About It summit between Chris and myself and coming up in February 15th. We're going to do a not all day webinar or opportunity, and we'll be coming up with more information soon in January. So in the next week or so, we'll be talking about it more on the Groom Pod and hopefully in the magazine. And I want to do a webinar on it's going to be called Excuse My Clarification. And I'm going to pick on some points of knowledge that I think people may have learned wrong for one reason or another. Maybe because of how we tend to oversimplify the structure of the skin, or maybe because of sloppy writing, or maybe because somebody wrote about something and overreached their skis. But I want to make some clarifications, and I want to talk a little bit about what we can expect from science and what we can't. So that's one of the things that I want to talk about, and I'll come up with I know I had a second topic.
I think you wanted to do something about the Korean beauty
The
movement.
Korean beauty movement
Was that correct?
is going to be for the written issue. I wanted
Gotcha.
I can't remember what my second point was, but what do you think you're going to talk about?
I don't know. I had a whole, I had an article that I was working on for this issue that's going to be in the February issue, I believe, specific to sebaceous adenitis. But there's so many different, I think I want to talk about transepidermal water loss. I think that's really important because it kind of touches fingertips with SA. And I think if, like you talked earlier, when you're researching things, there's so many different segues and pathways that you can go down rabbit holes, just one after the other. So I think I want to stick with the transepidermal water loss and just talk about how to support dogs that have an ongoing issue with that, whether they're older or younger, or if it's breed specific because of a genetic predisposition, because that's something that I think a lot of groomers aren't aware of, is like the importance of reconditioning hair once you clean it and reconditioning the skin, and how that can cause so many subsequent issues later on.
And maybe some humectants work better than others.
Yes, and when to stay away from emollients, because sometimes that's not always a good thing.
So
Yep, and that, I mean, I won't get into that, but that again ties in with understanding ingredients. It's one of the foundational structures that we have got to have in our tool belt.
right. I was going to do a quiz on the Groom Pod discussion group about some terms and have groomers identify the definitions, match the terms to the definitions.
Oh, yeah.
Just a way to just keep them thinking about what's an emollient? What's the difference between an emollient and an emulsifier? Let's know that.
Right. Oh, yeah. See, you give me goosebumps every time we talk. I just love the creative energy in the process. Like I am in love with hearing other people get curious and passionate about stuff. I just love it. And if I didn't have it in my life, oh, what a sad, sad life I would have. Although it can be a menace because of my brain, going all the time about stuff.
Well, I know mine too, but I just start my morning with learning something.
Yes.
Even if it's just the news. I get the news, the Apple News on my laptop,
Yeah.
and that includes Scientific American is one of my magazines
Nice.
that I have, so that I get science stuff from that. I get history stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just learn things
Yeah.
every morning.
And they say, I mean, it has been said for a long time, if you're sad and troubled, learn something because it really helps you retrain your brain and keep those neural pathways pliable, malleable, and ever changing. And it gives you a sense of power over things you might otherwise feel powerless about. I mean, there's so much big picture things going on, so many big picture things going on right now. It's important to remember that those big overarching issues are a culmination of each individual's input. So you can either take part in it or you can say, that doesn't serve me in my life. I want to do this instead. And that, thank God, is a choice we've got every day to get up and do something new.
So let's wrap it up. And I'm so happy that you came by today and we had this great talk. And I can't wait in fact, I am going to try to get done by tomorrow my article on tea tree oil.
Okay.
And then I'll turn right away and polish the conversation on K Beauty and CCE.
Awesome. We're always pivoting, aren't we? Pivot, 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 pivot.
Yeah.
I think we learned it at the grooming table. You're like, oh, I had a 10-pound schnauzer that comes in and this 40-pound menace comes walking through the door. Well, let's pivot. We're going to pivot again. Suddenly he doesn't want anything done to him. We have to pivot again. So why wouldn't we want to do that in our teaching? Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me today. This was so fun.
You're welcome.
All right.
We love you.
Love you.
All right, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, and thank you for tuning into the Groom Pod. We'll see you next time.
All
Bye
right.
now.
Bye.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the show. And happy grooming, everyone. See you next time on the Groom Pod. Bye now.